This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Get ready for a night of high-octane country rock. Brantley Gilbert is bringing his electrifying show to the Ledge Amphitheater Friday, May 9th. Don't miss out on the action. Full details and to get your tickets now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Here we go. The 9 to noon radio show back in the air and back with Ben Goessling at Ben Goessling via the tweet machine. Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. He is Apple Valley High School distance coach by day, Vikings beat writer for the Star Tribune by night and by day. And you're awfully tan right now.
I am.
And good morning. How did that happen?
I was, two things. NFL owners meetings for a couple of days, and then I took my daughter to San Diego for 4 or 5 days. We did a daddy-daughter trip. I do this with both of my girls when they turn 10, and my youngest daughter, Greta, just turned 10 last December, so we were in San Diego for Wednesday to Sunday. So I spent a grand total of 12 hours last week in the Twin Cities, which was enough given the weather. So I came back asking a lot of existential questions by why it is that we live here, but back with you chatting Vikings this morning helps to brighten the mood a little bit.
So when you were kind enough to co-host the Minnesota Football Coaches Association clinics at the Doubletree, kind of close to KFAN, we mentioned this in passing, so I want to elaborate on it. At the next high school track and field coaches association clinic, rumor has it you guys are bringing in Sebastian Coe to teach the proper gait for milers. Is that true or false?
I can't confirm that. It'd be great if we could get him if he was listening. Mm-hmm. And we have the money to get the airfare from the UK. Right. I mean, that'd be fun. Okay. If we could get him, that'd be great.
So should we do 9 to noon at the HSTAFCAC? The High School Track and Field Coaches Association Clinic, HSTAFCAC. Here's why I ask. Because we could book reps from the Kenya National Cross Country Championships. Yeah. And I think that's a people meter mover if I've ever heard one in my life.
Yeah, if we could get Elliot Kipchoge over here to talk about breaking 2 hours in the marathon, that'd be a lot of fun. Oh, yeah.
Right. Do you have a working cell phone number for Elliot Kipchoge?
I do not, but I can work on that between now and next January.
Lastly, have you consulted with Beatrice Chabet? Beatrice Chabet, Chabet.
Yep.
You know who she is?
Yes.
I had no idea until this morning. And she is Beatrice Chabet of Kenya.
Yep.
Can provide routes to having the best cross-country team ever at Apple Valley High School. Why? She's tops in the world for women with a world ranking score of 1293. Beatrice Chabet. Who knew?
Yeah. If we can get East Africans over here to run for us, that generally helps the team. I've coached a number of them over here, and they are born to run. Now, as the book says.
There's the transfer portal. You just work on the NIL.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get it done.
All right, let's marathon this segment with Ben Goessling, courtesy of Steve's Appliances. Need a sweet refrigerator? Go to stevesappliances.com, hit shop deals on the front page, and save nearly $1,000 on a Frigidaire 32-inch, 17.5 cubic feet, brushed steel, counter depth, front door refrigerator. Steve's Appliances. Fast delivery, free recycling, and guaranteed low prices. Welcome to the studio to Steve's Appliances. Now, this part of the equation, football-wise, is the chill before the draft starts cooking.
Yep.
Round 1 is 2 weeks from Thursday. Yours truly will be hosting a draft party show at U.S. Bank Stadium. Ben will be at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, tweeting, interviewing, and writing. Any new steam percolating with 24 and the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, I think the approach during the draft is going to, I think they're in a position that they can go a lot of different ways, but I would keep an eye on defensive tackle. Really? I think even after the signings this offseason, I think there's a need to get more depth there for the long term. Mm-hmm. And then you have two guys that you signed this year, Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, that are in their 30s already, and you probably need to plan for the future of that position as well. So I would keep an eye on that. I think they're doing quite a bit of draft prep in that world. I think corner, if there's an option there, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a safety, given the fact that they like the 3-safety alignment with Flores, and you obviously lose Cam Bynum from that. So if they can get another safety with Harrison Smith beyond this year, we'll see. Josh Metellus needs a contract extension. I saw Drew Rosenhaus around a lot last week, around the Vikings people. As I mentioned, I think we talked last week. But they have questions at safety coming forward as well. With a lot of those 3 safety looks that they like to use, I could see that being a need there too. And, offensive line, I suppose, is a possibility. But I would keep an eye on some of those options that I mentioned on the defensive side of the ball.
Hardcore football.
Wasn't that neat? Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. The name Jack Jones, are you familiar?
Yes.
Jack Jones, all right? Now, he got cut by the Raiders.
Yep.
And this intrigues me, and I come at it with no steam. Super aggressive, talented corner.
Yeah.
Once again, the Raiders cut. I mean, I remember him in the McCarthy game last year, like early in the game, Crosby's playing. Christian Wilkins, I think, was playing. So, I mean, the Raiders were bringing it.
They kept some of their guys in, yeah.
Right. And Jack Jones, I was like, damn. I mean, this guy's unbelievably good, specifically for preseason. Already got cut. He's not the first person to not be able to, A, handle Raiders culture, or B, Las Vegas 702 culture. I love his game, despite some problematic moments. In Vegas last season, Jack Jones, 4 pick sixes in 3 seasons, including one last year from Joey Burrow. I just wonder if they'd have any interest in it.
Yeah, I could see it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it could be the culture bit, the NFLPA culture bit, where it's like, it's just when we talk about culture, we ain't going to start with the 702.
Right.
Let's bring him in here and see what happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there could be a fit there if they felt good about how he'd fit culture-wise, like you say. But the ability to make plays on the ball, and we saw it all last year with all of those turnovers that they created, that's important, as is physicality in this defense. So I think Jeff Okudah is this type of corner. He has not made those types of plays on the ball throughout his career, and they have a lot to work with him on in terms of playing perhaps in a stricter interpretation of the rules than perhaps he was taught in Detroit.
Right.
Let's put it that way. But I think there's probably upside and things to coach with him there. And Jack Jones could be very much in that wheelhouse as well. If it's something they could pull off, I could see it. And he's also one of those free agents, like you mentioned, that if he gets cut, he does not factor into the compensatory pick formula, which is definitely something they're thinking about. It's a lot of the reason that the quarterback is not here yet. The backup quarterback is not here yet, I should say. Don't get started on any kind of quarterback controversy. Not saying that.
What do you mean?
They just haven't signed a backup quarterback yet. So that's all I'm saying, aggregators. But that type of a free agent as well, Jack Jones, who would not affect the comp pick formula, I think would make some sense.
All right, everybody ready for this cooktop? Jones could be a jack of all trades. Jones's first pick 6 came in 2022 from the arm of Aaron Rodgers. Perhaps A-Rod is going to pass on the Steelers. Listen to this closely.
Okay.
Perhaps he's going to pass on the Steelers and just root for J.J. McCarthy to get hurt. So he becomes... go ahead and tell me that he doesn't have just a slice of that to him. A sliver.
I'm not ruling it out.
Okay. So maybe super special A-Rod is going to root for the second-year kid to get hurt. So Aaron actually can become relevant here, which is a 0 right now. That's about his only chance to play games with O'Connell and Jefferson, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's the only scenario where he's still coming here, because short of that, you're coming in with a guy that is going to get a lot of work in the first team offense, a guy that they're very excited about. I don't know that the types of assurances that he would want are going to be there if J.J. McCarthy is there.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of the reason this hasn't happened, and I think it would take something like that for anything to happen. That also means him sitting for however long that would be. I mean, that could be
that ain't happening.
August, September. I mean, this scenario where McCarthy gets hurt, you're sitting waiting on an unknown. Is he going to want to do that? I'm not sure if he will.
Right. And that closes Aaron Rodgers talk for the day.
Thank you.
You haven't tweeted in a week. I mean, why? Where have you been? It's a very important time of the year, and you're not tweeting. And all scribes tweet on vacation. You haven't tweeted in a week. Who are you?
Yeah, I just... sorry to disappoint. I was hanging out with my daughter. We were, watching the sunset over the Pacific Ocean. Just didn't have a lot to say on Twitter at the time.
Serious topic. I bring this up because I saw it was pinned to the top of your Twitter still.
Yeah.
Your cousin Adam.
Yeah.
Did he ever get the liver transplant?
I think they're still in the process with that. It's actually quite a bit of testing. So there's a lot of tests you have to go through to see if you're a match, and I think they can only have a couple of people going through it at a time.
Yeah.
So I know the response they've gotten from that has been outstanding. They were incredibly thankful for that, Adam and his wife Andrea. But I think they have people still going through the process. I think there's optimism there, but it's a long process to get a match there possibly. So yeah, I think they're still in the mix of things there.
And it's at Ben Goessling via Twitter. It's atop his Twitter page, and it's been there for about a month now.
Yeah.
Month and small change.
Yep.
How's he doing? I mean, is there a regression, a rapid regression? Like, how's he doing?
No, he's doing okay. I mean, I think this is more of the condition he has is something where if he doesn't get a transplant, I think cancer becomes a lot more likely. So a lot of this is let's try to avoid having to go down the cancer treatment road at all. So trying to get one done before that is a possibility is the aim here. And I think that's getting to the point where they want to say, hey, let's keep moving through this because this is a little more imminent than it was before. But I think physically he's doing fine, but it's time is of the essence because that's a possibility if he doesn't get one.
Right on. Well, God bless him, and we'll continue to pray. But it sounds like some progress has been made, right?
Yeah, I think the response they've gotten from getting the word out has been very encouraging. I know that.
Excellent. So the Vikings won 14 last year, and they lose. They lose a couple of times to the Rams, a couple of times to the Lions. This is the time of the year where people start chatting a little bit about season wins totals, and like last year. I mean, when that thing opened at 6.5 or what 7? What was it?
6.5.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, O'Connell can fall into 7 wins with Josh Dobbs. So that was just dumb last year. But it went up.
It was Darnold related,
and they crushed it for sure. And then now you have Darnold was quarterback anew with bad pass performances. McCarthy is quarterback anew with no past performances.
Right.
So I understand that. It's 8.5. Okay. And I think that's this, I feel, is a 10-win team minimum if all the right players stay healthy. But the 8.5, I don't look at it like just flat being stupid, like 6.5 was last year. I mean, there were mortgages to be paid on that thing last year. It's ridiculous. All right, 3-2. But the at the 8.5, where I respect that, not only because of the new quarterback, the AFC division they get.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, AFC South, man, I mean, that I ain't saying it was junior college football and you're playing like Pasadena City College, Long Beach State, Normandale, and Dixie College in Utah, but it was the AFC South. It was the worst division in football. And the AFC North, that's not the case.
No.
Ravens, Super Bowl caliber, Cincinnati, Joe Burrow, Stefanski's team, rough and tumble, working through some things, but still, I mean, he's a 2-time coach of the year.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's a tough beat. And then you get the Steelers, and the Steelers with TJ Watt and could be Juicy A-Rod and the nice receivers and everything. So I think that
Ireland.
I think that plays into it, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Because if you look at the NFC North last year, that record-setting division where the top 3 teams all win at least 11 games, You have the Vikings as the first 14-win wild card ever. Packers, I think, tied the record for the best third-place team ever.
Yep.
The fact that they played the AFC South is not unrelated to those records. I mean, those are good teams in the NFC North, but they played the worst division of football, and all of them beat up on that division. Right. That is not the case this year, like you say, when you have to go on the road to face some of those teams in tough environments. Baltimore's a tough environment. The Vikings don't go there, but Pittsburgh is tough. Cleveland is tough, no matter how the team is playing, and that defense is awfully good. And the Bengals, I think, are still a force to be reckoned with. So
big time.
It is a different deal, and I think that probably plays into the win-loss projections a little bit there too.
The actual schedule, the way it's laid out, has not been released.
Correct.
Is that before or after the draft?
It has. They've started to move it to after the draft. I think it used to always be like the week of.
Yep.
But now I would expect probably early May, probably about a month out from now.
All right. So the order has yet to be determined.
Right.
NFC North, the fan has learned, is going to be tough again.
Yep.
And then you get the AFC North with so you get Joe Burrow here, you get Lamar Jackson here,
yes,
and then you get Jalen Hurts here.
Yep.
So, I think I'm missing one here. There's like another high-ender coming in here.
Let's see.
I mean, seriously, that's super tough.
Jaden Daniels.
Oh, Jaden Daniels. There you go. Here, right, on the speedy surface.
Yep.
So that, again, with that 8.5, 8.5, it's not only a fair number, it's kind of a respectful number here with the schedule you got in front of you.
You need defensive depth. Chase those guys around on the turf.
Right. Which also could play into, when I'm like, you got any 24 steam. And, you're just very good at sharing what you do have without oversharing. But the last time we chatted, and I said, all right, for the Minnesota Vikings first pick, around 24, 2 weeks from Thursday, I make offensive line favored and kind of prohibitively favored. Then after that, we got defensive line and we got secondary. I think you agreed with me. Now, you were in West Palm Beach, so you had a bad connection. You were on the beach, getting ready to chat with Ben Johnson, and you guys were going to have some Mai Tais.
Oh, yeah.
So you might not have heard it the right way. But there's been a stark change to the scribe in a week. If you think it's going to be potentially defensive linemen, I'm still on offensive line. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I know defensive line is something they've been doing a lot of work on, and I think it's something that they want to continue to invest in. Mm-hmm. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, a lot of this depends on permutations and where they have guys stacked, obviously, on the board, and do they feel like there's enough depth to say we can come back to this position later. And remember the fact that they don't have a pick again until 97.
Right.
You do have to be pretty confident in the depth, or you have to move back and try to get some more assets. Maybe in the third round, if you're able to move back far enough to get a pick of that nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to come down to where they feel the cliffs are on the board. If they need to take a guy to avoid a big drop off in talent the next time they're on the board, coming through there. I mean, all of that stuff probably will tell the tale of what they actually do. I just think that defensive line is something they have put some serious work into, and I think there's going to be a bit of a push to continue to invest there.
What's West Palm Beach like? I mean, I've never been.
Yeah.
But I only hear about it.
It's Miami light.
Like,
Miami very
is
light.
It really? Because they're like two Florida places, maybe three. Sanibel Island, Destin, and West Palm Beach. I've never been to any of them.
Yeah.
But they seem like fable-related towns that are in like some kind of a story, because people always come back with stories. Either that, or that's a place a lot of people from the Northeast, from Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut, all that, they retire there, which inherently means that they're required to have a lot of money because the property there ain't cheap. West Palm Beach, what's it like?
Well, it's funny. I think my aunt actually lived in West Palm Beach, West Palm Beach, Jupiter area.
So she got a lot of money?
No, she doesn't live there anymore. She was like working in public schools. But I say that to say it's changed a lot. And it's gotten a lot more dense population-wise. It's Florida. So
dense as in mental
more people living there.
Acumen, or
no, just more people living there.
Oh, okay, 3-2.
So it's more crowded. There's more traffic. There's all of that kind of stuff. It's got some South Florida feel to it. It's definitely some retirement communities. Definitely people that have enough money to be there. The weather was great. I was not sad to not be here for that and then to go to San Diego, like I said, but good for me. But
does everybody stay at the same hotel?
No.
The Breakers bit or whatever?
The Breakers is, shall we say, out of the budget of your average newspaper, not out of the budget of your average NFL team.
Okay.
But this is where the difference comes. We end up hanging out at the Breakers during the day. They have the big NFL reception, shall we say, on that actually got moved inside because of rain. But I walked into that and I looked to my right and like, oh, there's Serena Williams just talking to people.
Oh,
so
geez.
For like all the NFL flag stuff.
Wow.
She and Caitlin Clark were both there.
Are you kidding me?
No. I walked into this party and Serena Williams is basically from me to you, just, chatting with people and kind of having fun.
Yep.
I think with the LA Olympics, she's from LA, obviously. Yep. So she's probably going to be involved in some of that stuff for 28. But yeah, you walk into that party, it's like, wow, okay. There's just people kind of A-list caliber sitting here chatting. So, the Breakers is pretty swanky, the average newspaper. We just go there for the stuff during the day and then go back to more modestly priced accommodations at night.
Okay, FIJA, Fairness and Jim Souhan Act. I see he wrote a column about Paige Beckers, Caitlin Clark, attention or lack thereof. 9 to Noon brought this up a little bit yesterday, just in passing. And, it's not like a super novel topic. I'm sure other people have talked about it, but I started thinking about it yesterday. And Paige Beckers, Hopkins High go crazy. Yeah. She's fantastic.
Yep.
In fact, I would say if I were required, quick twitch to be like, all right, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, what do you think? And I'm like, okay, kind of the same player with the exception of the logo 3.
Yes.
I mean, Paige ain't pulling up from 40.
Right.
That's a bit with Caitlin.
Yep.
But it can't, and I have not read Jim's column, and I really enjoy Jim's writing.
Yeah.
So I'll read it later. So if I'm stepping on his touchdown call, I apologize. It's like, I'm not going to say if a tree fell in the forest and nobody heard it fall, did it really fall? I mean, I knew the championship game was Sunday at 3 o'clock. I didn't watch it. I was watching the Wild game. Now, last year, and when Caitlin Clark played in it, it was appointment viewing for me and for tens of millions of people. Yeah. Why is that? Like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, she was so polarizing. Paige is really, really good. Not quite as polarizing for whatever the reason. I have my answer why, but I'd like to hear yours.
Well, I think you mentioned a couple things there. I think the logo 3s became a thing. It was impressive. I remember going to the Big Ten women's tournament and watching her hit a couple of those, and she threw a pass like to a backdoor cut through a defender's legs. And I remember she had a little bit of a quiet start. My wife and I are sitting there watching it, and she goes, and she doesn't follow it that closely. So she's like, so what's the big deal with this girl? Why we? And then she does that. And I was like, that's why. Right. Like you just saw. I don't need to answer the question.
Yeah. This is Caitlin Curry, and I know you've watched Steph Curry play before. They're the same.
Correct. There's a lot of that. I think the thing with Angel Reese probably added to the discussion about her when that happened a couple of years ago. I think
there was no foil
involved.
Yeah, for Paige, there was no foil.
Right. Yes, I think that's probably part of the story.
Right.
And Jim's column touched on a little bit of that today, too.
Yep. Yeah, I can't wait to read it. That
was good.
That's Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. When we return, Ben, when he was tweeting back in the ancient days of last week, he tweeted something very interesting about Vikings general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. And I want to get into that. That was a marathon segment, courtesy of Steve's Appliances and stevesappliances.com.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Back after this.
Minneapolis, get ready for Bill Murray and his Blood Brothers. Join them April 10th at the Orpheum Theater for an epic night of music and fun. Grab your tickets now, KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
To noon is in the air. Welcome back. It is 10:33 in the neighborhood being FM 100.3 KFAN. This is a Talker Tuesday. Brett Blakemore is producing today, and yours truly is Paul Allen. Happy to be joined by weekly guest Ben Goessling, covers the Vikings for the Star Tribune, startribune.com, and via Twitter, the X Machine. It's at Ben Goessling. Don't forget about the new YouTube studio, which is in his garage.
Yep.
Well, so let me guess, you haven't YouTubed in a week either.
I haven't. I wasn't in the garage last week.
Nice of you to take draft season really seriously, because there could have been a bit there. I know you were with your daughter.
The Boston Marathon this year, so I'm actually more locked in this year than I was last year.
Wow!
So
why aren't you doing it again?
Because I needed to take
died last year.
Seriously, I did.
Yes, is that why?
No, not completely, but I was. It was suggested to me that after 3 marathons in a year, I probably should take a little bit of time off from doing that.
Do you do Grandma's marathon?
I'll do the half this year.
Oh, you will?
We're going to dial it back.
What is
that,
13 miles, 13.1?
Yeah.
Do you stop during the course of it, like keel over? And I haven't felt my ribs in 30 years.
Stop and take a couple swigs of water and take some refueling, and that's about it.
With the kind people who
doesn't take that long.
With the kind people who are strewn along the streets.
Yep.
Like, Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, Antoine is 2025, holding out the little cups with water. And have you ever run by so fast you tried to grab one and you spilled it?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the process of trying to grab those things and get enough water out of them that you don't spill all over yourself it takes some work. The tip I've learned is you pinch the end of it, so it almost is like a funnel.
The bottom or top?
You pinch the lip, basically create a lip coming towards you so that it doesn't spill all over your face when you're trying to drink it. So,
but if you
I'm not great at it.
But if you slow down to get the water, Beatrice Chabet passes you.
Beatrice Chabet's already ahead of me. I don't need to worry about that.
She passes you like you're tied to a post and you're not going to catch her.
She's going to do that anyway.
There's a lot of technicality that goes into distance running that I didn't realize.
Yep.
Which to land the plane on West Palm Beach and the owners' meetings, which non-Vikings coaches' tables did you sit at during the owners' meetings? Because, I see that from afar.
Yep.
I mean, that seems like it's the bomb to, sit at Ben Johnson's table, Matt LaFleur, Dan Campbell, stuff like that.
Yeah, so it is theoretically cool. In practicality, it is, logistically... So every coach in the AFC is in the room on Monday, and every coach in the NFC is in the room on Tuesday. This used to be an hour long, so you could bounce around more. Now it's a half hour. So the NFC day, I actually did not get to any of the NFC North coaches other than Kevin O'Connell, because he was talking, and you end up talking to him at his table for the entire hour. The AFC day, I camped out primarily at Jim Harbaugh's table.
Sweet. Wanted
to ask him a couple of J.J. McCarthy questions. I popped over a little bit to Kevin Stefanski.
What'd you ask him?
About Harbaugh?
Yeah. McCarthy with Jim Harbaugh, his college coach.
Yeah.
Jim, do you covet him? You did good work with him with the Wolverines, and are you considering trading Justin Herbert to the Vikings?
I did not ask that particular question. Asked him kind of what he thinks JJ will do in year one, and he's obviously high on him. That's not breaking any news. The first thing he said was, we got to play him this year. So I'm thinking about that in the back of my mind, that I think highly enough of this guy that if I have to go compete against him and try to figure out a way to stop him, that's going to be difficult, because he seems confident that JJ can step in and handle the job, just knowing what he's seen him do at Michigan. And it's going to be different when those two are competing against each other this year. That'll be the first time that's happened. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's a game that's not on local TV.
Wait, so you got schedule Steam too?
I don't have any Steam. I'm just putting pieces together. That seems like
schedule. I have no schedule Steam.
The only schedule Steam I have is that Dublin is a possibility. Are you steamy on that? Because I've seen that on the social media machine. I've talked to a few people about it.
So that's going to happen. We're going to Dublin?
I don't know for sure. I think it's a possibility. It's a stronger possibility than I thought it was because what I did hear is, everybody has talked about the Packers getting that game, but what I heard is that the Steelers protected that game to keep it because it would be in Pittsburgh. And especially if that game
the guy plays.
Is Aaron Rodgers against his old team for the first time. Seriously. I don't think they did it for that reason, but that would be a nice bonus for them if that game is in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So that leaves only a couple of teams as a possibility to go to Dublin, and the Vikings were one of the ones that I heard mentioned as a possibility to have that happen. We'll see.
If I'm Aaron, is there another continent on which he can play the Vikings?
Never heard anyone in my life who's more insane than Paul Allen.
Can you beat him in more countries in Europe?
They beat him in the U.S., they beat him in the
England,
UK, and then they could beat him in Ireland.
Beat him in Dublin. They're playing games in Germany these days.
Yeah.
So do you have any? I don't have any intel on this. But somebody must have something because I had 7 people over the weekend.
Yeah.
Not that you wouldn't know this because you gave up on Twitter for a week, but I was peppered with any truth to the Vikings going to Dublin. So I haven't texted anybody over there or anything.
I put something in my newsletter, so maybe I stirred the pot around that.
So they're going to Dublin. Wait.
I said it's a possibility. That's all I know.
Well, I got to dust off my 4-leaf clover lines.
I might have stirred that up a little bit. If I did, I'm sorry.
Okay, now. Any chance the Vikings start the season? All right, so game number 1 of the 2025 season against Jim Harbaugh's Chargers
in Brazil.
Oh my gosh!
I don't think that's happening.
Okay.
From what I heard last week, that seems less likely.
Yeah, Brazil sounds kind of swanky.
Well, yes, but it's a longer. What I talked to people about last year, because obviously the Eagles played the Packers. I talked to a couple of Vikings players that had heard from people that played in the game, and for players at least, it's a long flight.
Yeah, it was terrible.
You basically have to stay kind of closer in the hotel because these trips are not vacations for players.
Right.
They're business trips, as we know from London. It's a lot of that, and that flight is a lot longer than people realize. You kind of think, okay, it's in the Western Hemisphere. It's but it's south of the equator. It's a 12-hour flight, and you don't really get to go out and do much. So I don't get the sense that people had a great time with that last year. I know there are a number of Vikings players that are it'd be interesting, but we wouldn't be terribly broken up if we didn't get that one.
I had a bad time watching it, I'll tell you that.
Let's go to the Double B desk. What do you mean? You were there?
I wasn't there, but the field, everyone was slipping and sliding around. They couldn't get a footing. It was just an ugly game.
Oh, Love with that nasty slip early in the game.
Correct.
Oh, that's right. Didn't that mess him up a little bit?
Yeah, he almost didn't play in that Vikings game 4 weeks later.
So that slip, now they've had a year to fix things.
Correct.
So maybe the field would be great. I could just envision. I have no idea what this song sounds like. Teams running out of the tunnel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Minnesota Vikings. This is supposed to be salsa, and I only get 19 seconds of it. We don't get sued, and everybody loses their. Oh, here we go. See, that's Brazil. Soy Pablito. No tiempo para Diablo Mascaradas.
But close.
19 and a half seconds. You're good. You don't have to pull it out of the podcast.
Thank you.
Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. Off what Double B said. Wayne Larrivee, superstar Vox for the Green Bay Packers. I was chatting with him last year up to the season to get him on 9 to Noon.
Yeah.
And he sent me a picture of the Packers team hotel in Brazil. And so it was outside of his hotel room window. And his window, on the second floor, you could look down to the right. You could see the entrance to the lobby.
Yeah.
Adjacent to the lobby. 2 security too light. 2 members of militia would be wrong.
Okay.
They had machine guns. Okay. So those defending the lobby,
people who are there to set a tone.
Yes,
let's put it that
way. they were setting a tone with machine guns outside of the lobby.
Yeah.
So that's me. I don't know. They've had a year to work on things. Maybe things have changed.
If you're thinking about doing something, don't, is the tone I think that would be setting.
Kwesi, I promise next segment, Ben Goessling, the scribe, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. You're listening.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
9 to noon.
It's iHeartRadio Week only on Wheel of Fortune tonight. One lucky contestant has a chance to win a trip to Los Angeles for an exclusive backstage pass to the most anticipated event of holiday season, iHeartRadio's Jingle Ball. Watch Wheel of Fortune tonight. Check your local listings. Superior Landscape and Irrigation is celebrating 21 years this Saturday, the 12th, from 9 to 6 at the grand opening of their new showroom in Maplewood. Enjoy the brick oven pizza, chances to win a hot tub, solo stove, grand opening, exclusive deals, and a ton more. Find out all the information, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Alrighty now. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, general manager, Minnesota Vikings. Back in the old world days when at Ben Goessling was in action.
You have to remind me what I tweeted. I've totally forgotten what this is.
You tweeted Kwesi's deal. This was a cool tweet too. I didn't know this. Maybe I did.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't share it.
Yep.
You tweeted Kwesi's deal, his current deal.
Yes.
Runs through the 2026 draft.
Correct.
So you got a lot of people. O'Connell gets his bit. I think you reported 4 years on top of this one, something
Correct.
like that. Okay.
Through 2029.
Okay, so KO gets his deal. Well, the next thing percolating is, what about the general manager? You know, their deals were in lockstep. They came in together. It's a 1 and a 1A. Put it 1A, however you want. Well, I think the majority of people reading that or trying to understand that from afar would think, okay, season's over 2025, and if the season's over, well, general manager doesn't have a contract.
Yeah.
Au contraire, as Ben tweeted at Ben Goessling, Kwesi's deal runs through the 2026 draft.
Yes.
So basically 13 months from now.
Yep.
Any steam a new pact could be secured before the season?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of effort to get that done. I don't think it's been as urgent, shall we say, as it was with Kevin O'Connell. Mm-hmm. And I asked Mark Wolf about this at the owners' meetings, and he said market dynamics were part of it with O'Connell. And the short version of that, obviously, is he knew O'Connell was going to have a pretty strong market if he came out of here. But I think they are still wanting to get this done. It's still a priority. It just, I don't think has been something that everybody's like, we have to get the first deal done right now, and it doesn't matter what's in it. Let's just get something on paper and get it done. I don't think that's how this has been approached.
All right.
And I don't think that's how it was approached necessarily with Kevin O'Connell either, but I think there was a little more of, hey, we need to get this done right now. And the timing is a little bit different with Kwesi too. So, I mean, if you think about Kevin O'Connell's deal when it got done, it basically was a little bit over 12 months from when that deal was going to expire. And we are kind of at that same juncture here with Kwesi now. So the timing really isn't that different. If it were to get done, in the next week or so, there would not be any reason to think, okay, this got way off schedule based on timing, because they are on a little bit of a different schedule with those contracts. The reason for that is coaches, the hiring cycle is after a season. Things get turned over because coaches don't really have to go back to handling players until April. Front offices, however, have free agency. They have drafts to prep for. They don't want a ton of turnover in front offices happening that time of year. And the exception to that, of course, is if you fire the GM, you fire everybody else, then you clean house and you deal with it. But if you can avoid that, they don't want front offices changing. They don't want scouts changing. They don't want directors of personnel changing. They don't want the general manager in a contract situation in, say January, February, because now you have all this draft prep that you've worked on for next year, which they've already started doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to have that all dropped and start over in, late January or early February or something like that next year. So that's why front offices end up on a different timetable than coaches with contracts.
All right. So what do you think somebody's waiting for? I mean, whether it's the team, whether it's Adolfo Mensa and his representation, may have been an agent change in the equation. What do you think? What do you think they're waiting for?
Well, I think it's years, it's term. I think all of those things, and I don't know exactly where they're at the moment in terms of what the sticking point is, if you even want to call it that. But I think it's, until everybody gets a deal that they're happy with on every front, it's probably not getting done. And the sense I get with Kwesi, too, is we've seen this with Justin Jefferson. We've seen this with different player contracts. He's not that worried about the uncomfortable nature, the uncertainty of, this isn't done. Everybody's asking me about it. It doesn't seem like that bothers him
and
that
I
much.
think that's authentic when he says that, because I heard that at the press conference.
Yeah.
And he doubled and tripled down on it because he was pressed on it by you guys. And I haven't talked to Kwesi about it, but it seemed like it was authentic when he's like, this is paraphrasing. This is absolutely the most important time of the year for my job.
Yep.
So that gets the whether it was free agency, that's the one.
Yep.
Then the draft's the 1A. And then it flips. Then the draft becomes the 1. And I felt it was authentic the way he put it. Like, I ain't tripping on this. I got 2 kids at home, about ready to go to West Palm Beach, get all these free agents figured out, start looking at deals of 2026 with our guys, and then the draft.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think he's talked a lot in just conversations about spending the Wilfs money as if it's his own. And I think there's a lot of what you'll hear him say, he said in the press conference, of if my focus is somewhere else, I'm doing a disservice to everybody that is trusting me to manage this franchise. So I think there's a lot of that. I also think there's the Wall Street thing where he probably says, okay, if I blink early in a contract negotiation and I'm worried about, let's just get something done right now, it's easier to sign a deal that I'm not completely happy with. Right. So the uncertainty of it, if you are signing something to say, I just don't want the uncertainty in my life, it can put you at a disadvantage in the deal you actually eventually sign. You can look back on it in a year and say, boy, why did I do that? I mean, I've seen players do this. I mean, Daniil Hunter's first deal here, you could look at it saying, after a year after the fact, like, why did he sign that deal? Well, he wanted to get something done. So I can remember that with a number of deals here. So I think there's a little bit of that in his mind, too, of let's not worry about the uncertainty that much. Let's focus on what's important right now, and let's not use the uncertainty to put myself in a bad deal.
Well, lastly, when it comes to either reporting, so let's say Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, general manager, Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
So therefore, when you, with all due respect, when you maneuver your way around the 2022 draft and there are fails.
Yeah.
The Lewis Cine bit was a fail.
Yep.
Then you move forward and you look at the way free agency worked out last year. All right, we know the names, Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, but I mean, I wasn't looking at their all 22. I wasn't following how, what they did. You just got to look at the numbers. They jumped out of their skin. So the point being here is that the failures or those perceived thereof of the 2022 draft and the wins of free agency last year, those come to the general manager. Yeah. So he gets credit and he gets chided. But they're also, how much does it matter to you, like exactly who pulls the strings on what? Yeah. Because a lot of people talk to me about that. Yeah. Most people in the sports industry, like, well, that was all Flores. Yeah. He went, okay, cool. It may have been all Flores. Yeah. Well, then you also can say, well, that was all Donatel, banging his fist down for Scene. Sure. I have no idea if it was. Yeah. I just don't like that. I don't like that approach because it's just too persnickety in that people don't want to give credit to somebody when it works well, but they want to rip the bleep out of somebody when it doesn't work well. He's the general manager. He gets the praise. He gets the criticism. Yes. And off that, if he'll ever open up with the particulars of, here's how this goes with the draft and this with free agency and this gets us to the money guy Brzezinski and this gets us here, which he shouldn't have to and probably never will. You feel me on what I'm saying? Yeah,
I think it becomes a conversation that gets a little binary. It gets a little siloed because I get what people are trying to do. We're trying to figure out where do I assign value to a certain person in the organization if there's a contract negotiation going on, which there is right now. I think everybody's saying, well, if this doesn't happen, what are we actually losing from it? And I think that's the motivation to try to understand and try to be able to say, just give me a yes or no on this to say if we lose him, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But the reality is these things end up a lot more complex than this. And a lot of the discussion I know that the Vikings have, the first thing that the ownership asks Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah on a lot of these things is, well, have you talked to Kevin? How does Kevin feel about this? Yeah. They are pushing so much for process and alignment, I think is the phrase I've had used to me when I've talked to people about this. They want to make sure that the coach and the general manager are, if they're not in lockstep, it's at least something that they can come out of a room and say, I have your back on this. I support this. Yeah. So that tends to mean that you're not having a lot of decisions made that you can just put on one person because it is a group effort to get to that point. And he is the guy that has control of the roster. He's the guy that if there is blame to be cast for a mistake, it's going to go to him. If there's credit, I don't think he's going to be sitting there saying, yeah, it was me, I did it. But that's part of the job. You get the credit as the top guy. But I think the process at which they arrive at decisions is a little more nuanced than where these discussions go sometimes on social media. Excellent answer. See you next week if you're around, all right? I'm here. Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com. When 9 to noon continues, Brett's Breakers. It's a truncated hockey segment when we continue on KFAN.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.